Hello, I'm Mark Roberts and welcome to my video on sidechain gating. So I've just done this whole series on miking up a drum kit down at Brighton Electric with Ben Meinl, and it only seems fair I show you guys how I mixed it. I'll get onto the whole process, but this is my first time kind of trying out recording a screen and all that kind of stuff. So for now, this is just a little tidbit that will hopefully be useful for you and allows me to experiment a little bit. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's just remind ourselves of what we had. So this is the inside kick mic, which was an Audix D6. Cool. Yep, so pretty direct. It was pointing, the position was pointing through the porthole at the batter head, pretty sort of standard in kick drum mic position. Not too much spill on it, but you can hear a bit of snare and stuff like that. So let's start off by putting a gate on our close mic. I'm just going to use the inbuilt expander gate, Pro Tools one. As good as any. Right, so before we get too stuck into it, I'm just going to quickly explain to those of you who perhaps haven't used a gate before what it does. So essentially a gate is a dynamics processor that allows you to attenuate or turn down a signal that falls below a set threshold. So on this plugin we'd set our threshold here. You can see this triangle moving up and down, which is probably a better way to illustrate it. This is our signal coming in. Okay. And anything above this triangle is allowed through the gate. Anything below it will be turned down, and we can set by how much it's turned down and things like that. But for now, let's just concentrate on this threshold control, and I'll also be adjusting the attack, which is how quickly the gate opens, and the release, which is how long it stays open for, or when it closes. I'll play the kick drum and I'll adjust the parameters so you guys can hear. Cool, so hopefully you can hear as I turned the attack up, we were getting much more of the transient through, which is what we want. And I set the release time just so that I felt we were getting like the right amount of decay from the drum. That's done a pretty good job at gating that drum. I could probably get it a little better if I played around, but for the purposes of this, it's pretty good. Okay, so next let's have a listen to the outer kick drum mic, which was a ribbon, a cloud ribbon mic. It was about 3 or so feet back from the kick drum, and I placed it off axis just to sort of protect the ribbon itself, the capsule of the microphone. There's a lot of sound pressure coming from a kick drum, and if you place it off axis, it's not getting it head on, so you're less likely to overload or even break your microphone. Don't know why I said it like that. Let's have a listen. Okay, cool. I really like how that one sounds. It's giving us a bit more of an overall picture than the close mic, which is what I wanted it to do. But it does have the disadvantage that there's a lot more spill on it from, in this case, particularly snare and toms, but you can also get cymbals and stuff, purely because it's outside of the kick drum. It's not got that protection. So let's try putting a gate on that. Same thing. Let's slap this expander gate on there. Here we go. Okay, so while that's having an effect, you can hear it's not quite as accurate, and that's for the reasons I've explained, because there's more spill on it. So this is where your sidechain gate can come in useful. So what I've done is on the close mic here, I've set up a bus set to bus 7, and it's at 0 dB and set to pre-fader. So if you don't know, if it's set to pre-fader, it means this is before the output of your main fader. So if this isn't soloed, the signal is still getting sent to the bus. So now I'll open up the expander gate on the cloud channel, and over here we set the key input also to bus 7. So now the sidechain of this plugin is hearing bus 7, i.e. the close mic. Over here where it says sidechain, if we click the key, that means this plugin is now hearing that signal. It's being sent the close mic signal to the sidechain. If you click this guy here, the little speaker, it will enable you to hear what the sidechain's hearing. A lot of gate plugins have this. So if we press play now, as you can hear, we're hearing the close mic. So we know that's working, set up properly. If I disengage that, let's have a listen now. Cool. So I think we can get that even better, but hopefully you can hear that that's now a bit more accurate. Let's listen back one more time. I'll start off with the sidechain off and then I'll turn it on and hopefully you can hear a difference. So yeah, it's having a good effect. It's getting rid of that snare almost entirely. So now we've got just a bit of a cleaner track to play with, and it's going to enable us to have a little bit more control when we're mixing. So next, let's just see how those two mics are interacting. So I'll play you back the close Audix mic, and then I'll bring up the outer mic so that you can hear how they blend together. Cool, so there you have it. That's given us a bit more control. Those mics are blending pretty well in my opinion. Another thing I'll just mention quickly, you may have already noticed, but these two tracks here, the close and distant kick mics, are sent to bus 10. And then next to it I've got a mono auxiliary with the input set to bus 10. So now they are both coming out of here. So not only does this give me the control in the volume, so I can bring the volume up and down whilst maintaining this mix here so these faders don't move. It also means I can add further processing to the two channels as a whole, summed. So, you know, compressors and EQs and things like that. So it just keeps things a little bit more simple. So I hope that's like an interesting little tidbit for you. I find it really useful on kick, as I've shown you, but it's also very useful on snare, because the bottom snare mic will pick up a lot of kick drum and things like that. So you can use a similar technique and just bus your snare close mic to the gate of the underneath mic, just giving that a bit more accuracy. If you're doing top and bottom of toms, it can be useful. Certainly in the recording process, that can be useful because it will help you get your drums more in the ballpark for when you're tracking. The thing with toms, I suppose, is I think it varies a little bit more, because sometimes you won't need to gate toms or whatever, but often with really dense, heavy music, I'll go as far to even chop out the toms. But you don't always have time to do that in the studio, so this is a good way of getting you in the ballpark so you're ready for tracking your guitars and bass and things. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope all this stuff has worked. Any questions, let me know. And I'll be back soon to explain the rest of the drum kit and all that kind of stuff. Bye, 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 bye.